On this episode of MythBusters,
In every generation, a myth comes along that does not thrill us.
Adam and Jamie get wrapped up in their biggest build yet
I don't often say this, but it's looking to be nigh impossible to pull this off.
as they find out that making a flying raft is not all plain sailing. And speaking of planes,
Do cell phones cause airplanes to crash?
Carrie, Tori, and Grant tackle a traveler's tale with a familiar ring.
Needles all over the place.
And 3, 2, 1.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage. And Jamie Heineman.
This is gonna kill you.
Between them, over 30 years special effects experience.
That's what I'm talking about!
Joining them, Tori Belleci,
Very excited about this.
Carrie Byron,
Look, he cracked into his skull.
and Grant Imahara.
Don't say anything.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Take one large deserted aircraft hangar, add a ridiculous amount of plastic, and one MythBuster trussed up like a Christmas turkey.
This wins as the strangest position I've ever been in on the show.
Don't you love how he qualifies it with on this show?
Either the MythBusters are branching out into performance art, or something's gone very wrong.
Adam, what myth do we have this time?
Well, this one is pretty darn simple. It comes right off the MythBuster fan site. And it is simply that if you fill a raft with helium, that you could actually fly on that raft.
Whoa, 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 hold it right there. What did you say?
That if you fill a raft with helium, that you could actually fly on that raft.
That's what I thought you said.
Well, on the face of it, I'm not so sure about this one, but there's only one way to find out.
So, what is the plan?
Well, I figured we should start small. We've got a little inflatable dinghy. Maybe we can fill that up with helium and see what happens.
As we know, helium holds a special place in a MythBuster's heart. It helped Adam hover.
I'd rather just stay under 100 feet, thank you, over.
It carried a cute kid.
You ready? Oh my gosh!
And it came wrapped in pigskin when the guys took a punt on a helium football. But now they'll use helium to try and make one of their inflatables fly. And if that doesn't work, this being MythBusters, they'll build their own helium-filled flying machine.
Deflation.
And the initial inflatable they're going to try is the MythBusters dinghy. Before any helium hovering happens, the deflated dinghy is first wave.
Take it on up. Okay, exactly 72. That's what the scale looks like to me.
Then it's filled with air. Set vacuums to blow.
I love it.
Isn't it great how Adam finds delight in the tiniest thing?
Look at that. Yeah.
Jamie, however, is a much tougher audience.
This is good.
Next, they work out the volume of the inflated dinghy.
20.5.
Okay, so 20.5 cubic feet.
Then they let the air out
All right, here's your helium.
and put the helium in.
Okay, listen, just on the off chance, the very, very off chance this thing becomes lighter than air, I'm gonna sit in it while we fill it, okay?
With the dinghy fit to burst with helium,
Good.
will it turn miraculously into a magic carpet?
I'm gonna jump out, but get ready, hold on to the line in case it floats. All right, here we go.
Oh, it didn't float. What do you think?
Thanks to the helium, the raft has lost some weight,
I call that about maybe 4 pounds of buoyancy.
but nowhere near enough to achieve liftoff.
Well, our inflatable life raft, it's not remotely enough volume of helium, and it's way too heavy to get even buoyant by itself, let alone lift Jamie or I.
Well, Well, that didn't work very well. The helium only removed 4 pounds from its total weight.
Yeah, no, it's obvious that if this is going to work, it has to be a raft that is much, much larger. It needs the volume of helium, and it has to lift one of us.
So they drag out an airline life raft to go through the whole process again.
82 pounds?
Yeah.
Okay.
This yellow peril is 8 times the size of the original dinghy, and filling it with helium reduces its weight by almost a quarter.
It's 60 pounds.
But they're still no closer to liftoff. While the guys ponder their next move, one question needs answering pronto, and that is, what's so special about this helium stuff anyway? Well, helium is the second lightest element, weighing just 0.17 grams per liter. By contrast, nitrogen, which makes up about 80% of the air we breathe, is 10 times heavier. The more helium you have, the more air it displaces, and the greater the lift. But just how much helium do you need to get your average MythBuster airborne?
You know, I'm disappointed. I had higher hopes for that life raft. It's 25 feet in diameter, and it couldn't even lift itself filled with helium, let alone one of us.
Well, we've got one more larger thing yet to try, and that's an escape slide from a commercial airliner.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's I'm guessing at least double the volume of that life raft.
All right, let's do that one.
When we last saw the escape slide, it was drifting like a leaf towards Earth with Buster on board.
Oh, look, it's sailing.
Wow.
So far.
It was the smoothest ride he's ever had. What we want now is the reverse journey. Like in the myth, we wanted to rise up and fly away. The slide's volume measures 325 cubic feet, 15 times bigger than the dinghy.
So let's deflate it and fill it with... No. Let's run it up to the truck and slide down.
Boys will be boys.
Oh, Jamie, you're so cynical. Adam just wants to demonstrate correct technique when using an escape slide. And that definitely ain't it.
That is too much fun.
Right, time for answers. Will 325 cubic feet of helium be enough to make the slide slip its moorings and ride the thermals?
That's good. I can't help but noticing that even though it's tethered off, it ain't flying.
That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at 121 pounds. That's just about 40 pounds lighter than the dead weight, which is pretty much exactly what the math said it should be.
I think it might be time to pull the plug.
That's fast. Oh my God, there's a lot of helium in the air.
You know, I'm starting to think this myth is busted.
But, you know, we can't leave it at that. In fact, we're just getting to the fun part right about now.
Yeah, it's time to take the math we've gleaned from the rafts that we've filled with helium so far and calculate exactly the size of raft we need that is both seaworthy and that can fly you or me.
Yeah, one of us has to get airborne.
All right, Grant. Sounds like we have another cell phone myth.
This one is a conspiracy theory. The reason you can't use your cell phone on an airplane is not because it'll interfere with the in-flight instruments, but because it forces you to use the in-flight phone in the back of your seat.
Ah, because it's way more expensive to use their phone than your cell phone. That's brilliant. Sounds like we get to crash a plane.
No, we're not gonna crash a plane.
Once upon a time, just being on an airplane was entertainment enough. These wide-eyed folk would never have guessed that one day flying would become so routine, so downright boring, passengers would need a host of electronic gadgets to help make the time fly. But in the name of safety, cell phone silence must be maintained at all times. Is it a ruse designed to force you to fork out for the seat phone? Or can a cell phone signal make your flight drop out of the sky?
It seems to me that the biggest challenge you're going to face with this is not technical, it's legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's illegal for us to take a working, switched-on cell phone into the air.
However, it's not illegal for us to take a cell phone into a working cockpit and work with it on the ground. But that doesn't guarantee us any success of interference.
So in typical MythBusters fashion, we're going to make our own cockpit and control all the variables, and then take that to an airport and see what happens to the signal.
With a flight of fancy out of the question, Tori and Grant are going to build their very own working cockpit. And there's only one place a Mythbuster goes when he needs plane parts. Faith Aircraft in Sacramento is an Aladdin's cave of aeronautical offcuts.
Where all the dead planes go.
Mostly made up of Cessnas, Piper, Beech.
Kenny Faith's already been our wingman on a couple of myths. A little while back, Adam paid him a visit when he got the urge to shred a plane. This aircraft cache also includes a load of pre-loved avionics. These are exactly what the guys will need to test the cell phone myth.
Okay, well, here's the list, and most of these instruments are communication and navigation, things that were identified as something that a cell phone might interfere with. Gyro-stabilized magnetic compass system, VHF communications transceiver, navigation receiver, and VOR localized...
Grant's got a flight deck shopping list to rival the Pentagon.
GPS.
But luckily, this second-hand supermarket's got the lot. These bits and pieces form a plane's ground-to-air communications.
Power to Kenny, how much is this going to run us? Over?
Too much.
Houston, we have a problem.
Abort mission.
The high-tech avionics are really all they need to test this telephone tall tale. But these guys want to go that extra MythBusters mile and find a cockpit to put them in. It won't get off the ground, but at least it'll look authentic.
We're getting some turbulence. This is the captain speaking.
Yeah. We live like rock stars.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Easy to transport.
I think it'd be a good choice for what you're trying to do.
All right, so
We'll take it.
we're gonna give it some 28-inch rims, dual woofers in the back,
All gold inlay.
a DVD player. This thing's gonna be tight.
With the cockpit picked up onto the pickup, the myth-busting can soon begin. But first, the boys have been digging up a bit of history.
The airlines and the flight attendants make a really big deal out of having you turn off your cell phones and your personal electronic devices. But have you ever heard of a case where one of those items caused a crash?
Actually, in 2000, a plane did go down near Zurich, killing everybody aboard. And they think it's because one of the passengers received a text message. And then following that, another passenger made a cell phone call. And they know this because they recovered the data from the crash, and they showed that the instrumentation went wrong at the time of the calls.
So there's definitely evidence to suggest that cell phones and planes make a bad combination. To put this to the test, the team has got more instruments than a flying orchestra, but no idea how to make them work.
Morning, I'm Grant.
Nice to meet you, Grant.
Cue aerospace engineer Jeff Guto.
We've got a lot of work here.
Yeah, well, in typical MythBusters fashion, we've only got one day.
Okay.
So at the end of today, we've got to have a working cockpit full of instrumentation.
Okay. Since this isn't going on a real airplane, we can skip some steps, I suppose you could say. I think we're going to need a lot of wire and a soldering iron, and maybe some coffee would be good too.
Okay, we got that.
It's a bit of a knee bone connected to the thigh bone sort of thing.
Well, let's start with this. This is the Navcom radio, and we're going to go from this to something where everybody's talking to each other.
There's more wires than a NASA command post. It's a long, complicated, and sometimes fraught afternoon. But at the end of it, thanks to Jeff, Grant has become somewhat of a cell phone expert.
So Grant, how are these cell phones supposedly affecting the airplanes?
Well, that's the question. I mean, there are two possibilities. First, the cell phone signal may be masking or blocking the radio signal from the airport or the radio beacons. And second, the cell phone may be actually affecting the navigational equipment itself directly.
So which is more likely?
It's hard to say definitively, but I think at this point what we should assume is that it's masking or blocking the radio signal.
Well, okay. I mean, that sounds like a good place to start.
But before they can start firing up some cell phone interference, they first need to see if their second-hand setup can even detect the beacon from San Francisco Airport's navigation station.
I don't think we're getting a good signal.
Okay, so what do you suggest?
Let's see if we can raise the antenna up.
Okay.
This extra altitude should allow their avionics to register the bleep from the airport beacon 10 miles away.
I can see my house from here.
Whose car is that in the driveway?
Hey!
We're getting a signal now.
Woohoo!
The signal that we're getting is the San Francisco VOR navigation station. So this tells us how many degrees bearing we are to the station. It tells the pilot where he is relative to the station.
Thanks to Jeff, the avionics seem to be all systems go. How this VOR gauge responds to cell phones will be crucial.
All right, we're gonna go in and talk some more electronic stuff. So we'll see you in a bit.
Now let me down. Is this about that $5 I owed from lunch?
Adam and Jamie are testing the myth that a life raft filled with helium will carry one of them into the clouds. So far, their inflatables have failed miserably.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
So now they need to see what it will take to get this myth off the ground.
I can't help but noticing that even though it's tethered off, it ain't flying.
Okay, so I've run the math on the lifting power of helium. It takes almost 16 cubic feet of helium just to lift 1 pound. That means for you or me, 200 pounds plus a raft, let's say it weighs 100 pounds, that's 300 pounds of lift, we need just under 5,000 cubic feet of helium to do that.
Jamie's considered response?
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a third the cabin size of a DC-9 airplane.
Guys, that's nothing. The famous Hindenburg airship needed 7 million cubic feet of helium to stay aloft. But for some reason, on its fateful voyage from Germany to New York in May 1937, it was filled with flammable hydrogen instead. No one knows for sure what sparked the fire as she came in to land at Lakehurst Naval Air Station. But once the hydrogen started to burn, it took just seconds for history's largest airship to go up in smoke.
All the humanity and all the tragedy that I did.
Now, Adam and Jamie are going to build their own airship.
I'll tell you what I'm thinking. You know that clear poly tubing that comes in like 24, 36-inch lengths that they use for porting air conditioning around on a movie set?
Yeah, it's in a roll. It looks like just normal plastic, but it's actually a tube that you can inflate.
Right, they make a heat sealer for that. And given the amount of cubic footage we need and the amount of time we've got, I think that if we heat sealed long pontoons and assembled them somehow, it's our best chance of actually getting a raft with this much lift that might actually support us.
People, we're talking a raft the size of a parade float, made from helium-filled plastic pontoons 50 feet long. Actually, make that 2 rows for structural support. The giant pontoons will be joined with packing tape, and jugs of water will act as ballast, keeping the raft grounded until Adam's ready to cut loose and reach for the sky. Now, we don't recommend you try this at home. If left in his original packaging, he could become a collector's item.
All right, seal the other end. Oh. There we go. Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Out in the car park, the boys put the wind up a 50-foot tube. When I say wind, of course I mean helium. And the result is possibly the world's largest double entendre. Okay, fellas, enough schoolboy sniggering, please.
I'm actually going to hook it up to a fish scale, and however many pounds it shows pulling up on the fish scale is effectively the amount of buoyancy I've got.
The inflated tube has a 2-foot diameter and holds 157 cubic feet of helium. That adds up to 5 pounds of buoyancy.
Well, that would mean in order to lift you or me, we'd need 40 of these things. Not including the tape, so probably more like 50. Which actually gives us, good God, this is a big thing.
It's cool, though.
So big, in fact, that Jamie's workshop won't be anywhere near large enough.
I'm not sure what we're going to do with it when we get it inside.
It's going to be the biggest build in MythBusters history. But already there's a problem. Their practice pontoon is becoming flaccid.
Good God, is this supposed to support my weight?
The seal is airtight, and there are no leaks. The ultralight helium must be leaching out through the plastic itself.
Seam down here is just fine.
That means that time will be a big factor in this experiment. The entire raft, all 50 pontoons, will have to be assembled before inflation can begin. And with a total fill time of about 4.5 hours, will they be able to get Adam up before the raft goes down?
In order to make this work, we've got 50 of these tubes. We are allowed to have exactly 0 leaks.
Adam's feeling a little deflated already.
Yeah, that's helium, all right.
I don't know, to pull this off, I don't often say this, but it's looking to be nigh impossible to pull this off. It's fraught with problems. There's a ton of variables and just an amount of material that boggles my mind.
You think that's mind-boggling? Try getting your head around the assembly. 2,500 feet of fragile plastic tubing has to be rolled out and turned into a 2-tiered raft. The smallest leak could prove disastrous. The Brains Trust swings into action.
100 feet of space, right? You have them in one end of the 100 feet of space, and you roll them over themselves.
Itself to have a working flap at the end of each tube.
Fishing weight on either end, and you have one. You lay out your piece.
Exactly what you mean. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
We'd like to have shown you the whole of this stimulating conversation, but rather alarmingly, it lasted almost 2 hours.
You go like that, and then do it
But
again.
after much umming and erring, they finally devise a way to pull off the mother of all MythBusters builds.
That's great, because that actually, this is great. This allows us to do a whole day of just setting up and getting that right, and then we go in and fill it. Editors, I'm really sorry about that. That's just about probably one of the most fun conversations I've had while shooting this show. And I hope you can find some MythBusters mind meld kind of brilliance way to cut it together, because that's the soul of the whole deal.
Actually, Adam, if it's all the same to you, it might be easier just to show a graphic. The double-decker raft will be woven. First, the bottom deck, 25 pontoons, will be rolled out. The top layer is then rolled out crosswise. Lines of packing tape at 10-foot intervals will stitch the pontoons together. Time to get a cutting and a sealing.
Remember, take it easy. No mistakes.
There's more plastic here than a convention of Hollywood A-listers. But can they really turn these PVC pipes into a life raft plastic fantastic? Well, that all depends on the leaks. The helium's got to get in, but they don't want it getting out again. So each tube will need an airtight valve.
Good.
The answer? Silicon and zip ties.
There's no water going through there.
Yeah.
So you got to get that caulk under pressure.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So that'll keep the helium from leaking out, at least long enough to get this thing working.
That seems like a little minor thing, but that's exactly what we're good at doing. It's like a little bit of caulk, a couple of zip ties, and you've got a really high pressure seal that is not going to fail.
Now, there's some famous last words for you. Frequent flyers all know they must switch off their cell phones once on board. But why? Is it a ruse designed to benefit the providers of costly seat phones? Or is it just downright dangerous? Can a cell phone's RF signal disrupt vital ground-to-air communication and cause a plane malfunction? Grant's got a bunch of working cockpit components, so it's time to put this conspiracy theory to the test. The key to busting this myth lies in the invisible realm of radio frequencies. And because they're invisible, they make for really bad television. Unless you happen to have a spectrum analyzer.
Everything electronic, to a certain extent, emits radio frequency radiation, be it a CD player or personal gaming device or cell phone. And using this box, we can tell what frequencies it's putting out and how much power that is.
And to do that, he'll need a clean experimental space, a place where stray frequencies can't get in.
So that is pretty clean. And the very last thing is my radio mic here, which I'll switch off. And that is a pretty clean spectrum. I kind of think we should do our tests in here.
For even more RF protection, he builds a Faraday cage to go inside the container. A Faraday cage is a box made out of brass mesh, which blocks radio frequencies. So it should be ideal for this myth. Grant will use the spectrum analyzer to see how much RF a cell phone puts out. He's also going to test a few other devices often found in a plane seat pockets. A CD player, an MP3 player, and a portable game. They barely register. But watch what happens when he makes a call.
See that peak? That is the power output of a cell phone. And that is something that is more likely than anything else to interfere with the aircraft electronics.
Now, with a little help from aerospace engineer Jeff Guto, they'll simulate communication between airport and plane using their spare parts avionics and this device, a ramp tester.
And an avionics shop would use this to test the instruments that the pilot uses to land the aircraft.
So this one box duplicates all the signals that would be broadcast from the ground.
That's correct.
And they'll try to disrupt that communication by broadcasting RF from a cell phone signal generator.
What's the difference between that and, say, turning my phone on?
Well, a huge amount of power. So what we're going to do is we're not going to use all of this power to simulate the cell phone, just the amount that a cell phone would put out. But if that doesn't work, we have the extra power to say, well, what would it take to affect the instruments?
Will this machine give us brain tumors 25 times faster?
There's another myth for you to bust.
So let's get this straight. Inside the Faraday cage will sit the cockpit. This will be receiving a signal from the ramp tester, simulating the way a plane communicates with the airport. Grant will blast out RF from the cell phone signal generator to see if any cockpit components go bananas. That's the theory, and with Grant boxed in, it's time to put it into practice. Now remember, this gauge tells a pilot where he is in relation to the airport runway. If that needle wavers, it means our virtual aircraft could be on a crash course. Grant starts hitting it with simulated cell phone frequencies.
We'll start with GSM 1800.
GSM is a type of digital cell phone technology used by millions of people around the world.
The flag still says 2, and I have no needle deflection.
No response. Grant ups the power.
Ramping up the amplitude.
Is our plane still flying?
Still flying. I'm blasting it now at plus 20 dBm.
Grant, if I were you, I'd be reaching for my tinfoil underpants about now.
So this is 100 times stronger than the cell phone could put out. Okay, we're going up to 1,000 times. We'll try it one more time.
But watch what happens when he starts broadcasting at 800 megahertz, another common cell phone frequency.
So I am getting a big deflection here. I would call that a major deflection.
He tests 850 megahertz, then 900, with the same result. The needle swings wildly.
As we're marching through the different types of technologies, it seems that the ones that are around that 800 megahertz frequency, 850 to 900, are the ones that are having an effect on the meter. As far as the myth goes, that these cell phones don't affect the airplane avionics, I have to say, I think that it's leaning towards busted. I think they can have an effect on that instrumentation.
Hang on, Grant. We don't want to bust this myth under lab conditions. We still have to take this cockpit to the airport for a test flight. Adam and Jamie's myth stated that if you fill a regular inflatable raft with helium, it'll fly.
Oh, it didn't float.
That was quickly busted. To get a single MythBuster airborne, it's going to take at least 5,000 cubic feet of helium. That is one giant raft. In fact, it's the biggest build in MythBusters history. And to put it all together, Adam and Jamie need a big space. Fully twice the size of Jamie's building, this hangar served as a giant spray booth where planes were painted.
So those rolls of plastic that you saw, there's 60 of them. And they're 60 feet long and 3 feet wide. We're going to lay them out here on a 60 by 75 foot square. And as we roll them out, we're going to stitch them together into a raft.
With tape.
With packaging tape.
Carrie, that look just about says it all. But before she has time to back out, she's put to work sweeping. Sure is her lucky day.
Every part of this raft is delicate, so we have to make sure the floor is totally cleared of every last bit of debris to make sure that there's nothing that can poke a hole in our plastic before we even get the helium in.
With the floor polished to perfection, the rolls of plastic are laid out, and the first line of tape goes down.
So it begins.
Precision is going to be the key to this test. If there's any tube that's not correctly aligned or any tie left undone, the whole raft could be ruined and the myth will be sunk.
This is nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
2,500 feet of plastic, hundreds of feet of packing tape.
Knit one, purl two.
I'm not sure the term painstaking is really adequate. Several hours and 6 sore knees later, the layout is finally complete.
And this is the highest potential for total failure I think that we've ever achieved on the show.
Highest?
Yeah, without a doubt.
This net is the last thing that we've got to do. If we can achieve a little tension on it, it's going to really hold all these things together, and we might get a chance to fly.
Wow, it's like a fishnet stocking for the Jelly Green Giant's mom. It's the end of day one. The raft, even though it doesn't look like it, is mostly built. It is now a raft in potentia. All we got to do tomorrow is come in with the helium, start filling these pontoons, manage them with the net, and we should be flying by lunchtime. I always get a kick when I'm so optimistic.
Can cell phones interfere with aircraft instruments? During one test, 800 megahertz, a common cell phone bandwidth, Grant's avionics went haywire. So now the airport beckons.
All right, so we did the experiments in the Faraday cage. The cell phone affects the avionics. Do we have to go to the airport? Why?
Our viewers are not going to be convinced unless we have the most realistic scenario we can, a moving platform in a real environment.
Plus, while the ramp tester is a really good diagnostic tool for the bench, there are a few signals that you can only get at the airport.
Well, sweet. I guess we'll strap that airplane to the back of the truck and take you for a ride.
It'll look cool.
Oh, great.
Sounds like a delicate job for Tori.
All right, so I just attached the cockpit to the truck, and the reason why we want this cockpit to move around is we're trying to simulate an airplane, and some of the instruments in the airplane will react to a beacon at the airport, and as we move around the airport, it should change on the instruments.
That's the theory. Unfortunately, they won't be able to put it into practice on a runway, but they'll get close.
Cool! This place is perfect. Oh, yeah. We got planes coming in constantly. We got a big, long parking lot we can drive around in.
We're right on the approach pattern. It's perfect.
As far as flight simulators go, this isn't what you'd call state-of-the-art. Top Gun Grant's in the hot seat as the cockpit taxis around the car park, receiving a real signal from the airport's navigation beacon. He'll blast the instruments with RF from the cell phone simulator.
Ready,
chucks away. We're clear for takeoff. But as soon as our pilot picks up speed, there's a problem. It seems Grant's flying through the Bermuda Triangle.
What's going on back there, G-Force? Needles all over the place.
Yeah, it's really hard to center. As we're moving around, the needle is swinging back and forth, and the nav flag is popping up.
And that's before the cell phone signals have even started.
We're gonna need a pretty stable reading here in order to tell if it's the cell phone doing it or what.
So what's next, G-Force?
I think we've got to try it again, but stationary this time. Engine off. See if I can get the needle centered.
He feels the need to be very still.
Okay, so the needle is centered and stationary. Whoa! I just lost signal. I lost the nav flag and the needle swung way up. I don't know. It looks okay now. I don't know what to make of that. No.
He just can't get a stable reading. Not even Jeff's expertise is going to get them out of this one.
It could be a grounding or a shielding problem, yes.
I mean, do you have to deal with this sort of thing normally?
Well, normally when you do an avionics installation in an aircraft, it's done to a little bit better standards.
This is our cockpit. It's not wired, totally like a real plane. We're getting a lot of interference because we're on the ground. I mean, the obvious solution would be to get a real plane and test it with some cell phones.
Just as well, the MythBusters always plan ahead. This sleek bird's been waiting in the wings just in case their homemade plane crashed and burned.
I know you guys wanted to see us in the air testing this, but we can't. It's illegal.
We tried our best to be able to get a commercial airline, even a charter airline, even a private plane to get us up in the air with a cell phone. It's federal law.
They can't run this myth in the air, but under controlled conditions, they can try a test on the tarmac.
As soon as I get one of these, I can start dating supermodels. How you doing?
Tom Benvenuto is Vice President of Flight Operations at Sunset Aviation.
Is this one yours?
This is ours. This is the Hawker 800 XP. Wow. It's 2003. It's a mid-size corporate jet. It sits 8 people.
You and 7 of your friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Supermodels.
That's right. That's right.
Now, guys, with all due respect, this is a cockpit. A glass cockpit, they call it. Top-of-the-line avionics, computers, LCD displays. Not a gauge in sight.
We also have the land-based navigational aids. All that can be affected, apparently the so-called, the experts say, apparently be affected by outside signals, such as cell phones, any type of electronic devices.
In fact, according to maintenance manager Mike Corrigan, aircraft instruments can sometimes interfere with each other.
We have a problem sometimes where with a strobe light, as it fires, we'll turn components on and off, simply from the radiation from the wire, from the power going back to the light. If you have an electronic component wire sitting next to it or crossing it, it can pick that signal up, turn the unit on, turn the unit off.
And that's why modern aircraft like the Hawker are so heavily shielded.
All this, because there's a bazillion miles of wires flowing through this aircraft, are all shielded. And whatever RF signal that may come in conflict with the aircraft technically shouldn't affect the aircraft.
We'll see about that, Tom.
The size of this antenna was making the airplane guys a little nervous out there.
Regulations mightn't allow the test to happen in the air, but ground-to-air communications begin even before takeoff. So the Hawker will sit on the tarmac, receiving a full range of radio signals, while Grant attempts some cell phone sabotage.
For our test, I have several older cell phones that we're trying out. Some analog, I've got a PCS phone, different technologies. All of these are operating, except for the PCS, in the 800 to 900 megahertz band.
Remember, that's the bandwidth that caused problems back in the Faraday cage.
Ready.
Stand by. And 3, 2, 1.
And nothing's happening.
This is a PCS phone operating at 1.85 gigahertz.
In 3, 2, 1.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, this is cell phone number 3. Transmitting at 850 megahertz.
None of the phones has any effect on ground-to-air communication. He tries amplifying the signals using the cell phone signal generator.
Seeing any result?
Nope.
Nope.
Not a flicker, not a flash, not a blink.
This airplane is built very well. It's rock solid, this airplane.
Rock solid and seemingly impenetrable. The team keeps testing, but if this pattern continues, the seat phone conspiracy theory is looking shaky.
All right, we're ready. Well, the conspiracy theorists have it right on one point. It is more expensive to use the in-flight phone than it is your cell phone. Now, why is it so expensive?
That's because it's a dedicated system, and it works in 2 ways. If you're over land, the hardwired phone goes to a transmitter in the belly of the plane. That then talks to one of 135 land-based radio towers.
And even more complicated, if you're over water, it has to bounce off a satellite and back down to a tower.
So it's really expensive because it's a specialized, dedicated system.
And what's more, seat phones are safe. In no way do they interfere with a plane's avionics. Can the same be said of the cell phone? Well, back at Ground Zero, all of the cell phones have been tested, and none have affected any instruments. So why won't airlines let you use them? Well, it seems to be a case of better to be safe than sorry.
There are so many systems on the plane, they would have to all be tested to make sure, and you're talking about millions of dollars worth of testing.
So they just don't want to take any chances.
They don't want to take any chances.
And a new cell phone comes out every month.
Yeah.
New cell phone, different frequency.
But before they wrap this up, Tori's got one more burning question.
So, Tom, when you're not working, do you ever sneak this out just for your own personal fun?
Just between you and me? No.
All jokes aside, this myth is no laughing matter. But what's the verdict? Can cell phones spiral out of control?
All right. The conspiracy of cell phones on airplanes.
It was totally frustrating because we couldn't really get on an airplane with a cell phone, and we couldn't make a call, and we couldn't even see how many bars you had while you're in the air.
Those pesky laws.
We don't have any evidence other than our small-scale cockpit, which wasn't hardened against RF, and the wires weren't shielded.
When we went out to the commercial jetliner, we weren't able to get any effects on his instruments.
Right. I mean, we ran a bunch of tests, many different cell phones, no interference. I think it's probably safer on the FAA's part just to say there's a ban outright, because there's a 1 in a million chance that some new cell phone could interfere with those instruments, and that's what they want to avoid.
Why take the chance? So this one's busted.
I say it's busted.
Adam and Jamie have built what they hope will be the world's first flying raft. It's the biggest thing they've ever made, and tensions are running high.
There's not a lot of optimism in the room at the moment. I think that there's a lot of difficulties that are presenting themselves. There's small little imperfections that could cause everything to completely implode on us. So we're crossing our fingers, but I'm not seeing the smiles you usually see on the MythBuster faces.
Once in every generation, a myth comes along that does not thrill us.
To help distribute Adam's weight across the giant raft, he'll lie on a mini version. 3 small tubes, double bagged for strength. And with the arrival of the helium, all 36 cylinders of it, it's time to get this myth up and running.
All right. Well, it's in. It's either going to float or it's going to flame out. You ready?
We're ready.
All right, let's go.
And so the inflation begins. With 50 of these giant plastic tubes, the team is going to need almost 8,000 cubic feet of helium to try to get this myth off the ground.
All right.
One perfect pontoon.
It's the biggest build in MythBusters history.
We filled 2 pontoons. It goes about 3 minutes of fill. We've got 48 yet to go.
Thanks for the warning. We might go to the time lapse here.
I'm not seeing or hearing any leaks.
As the massive pontoons fill, each one generates 5 pounds of lift.
Good.
Before long, the raft is straining to rise.
This thing is effectively neutrally buoyant right now, and we have plenty to lift me.
The MythBusters can boast a whole raft of achievements, but this raft would have to rate highly. Not sure Huck Finn would want to take it down the old Mississippi, but still.
This is strange. I've never seen anything like this before.
It has to be the single largest thing I've ever built, bar none, let alone in 2 days.
But will it work? Time for Adam to slip into something a little less comfortable.
This is my new toy, my new SWAT team tactical black climbing harness. My sister gave it to me. My whole family's like this.
Yeah, I get the harness, but the wetsuit?
I'm wearing the wetsuit because if we're successful at this, we'd like to walk it out to the lagoon and float it on the water, see if it would be a viable raft. I don't understand that because if it flies in the air, something tells me that it would float on the water.
Oh, go on. What's the real reason?
I'm wearing the wetsuit because it makes me look good. Damn good.
Final thoughts?
The fact that we've got it up and it's buoyant, very exciting. I really just want to get on there now and be able to relax with my flying raft.
It's up, up, and away.
Good, good. Okay, lower.
With Adam in position on the mattress, Carrie starts dumping the ballast. But straight away, there's a problem.
You better cut the other side a little bit.
Without the ballast, one side of the raft suddenly takes to the skies. And Adam begins to slip off his mattress.
Okay, stop. Don't cut anymore.
Okay. Whoa!
The team stop cutting the ballast, but the damage is done as Adam slides off his helium bed like a greasy bar of soap.
Wait a second.
Without any support structure, the flimsy pontoons can't cope. On a build this big, there was always the chance that something would slip through the cracks. Never thought it would be Adam, though.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
This isn't working.
No, it seems to have failed utterly.
You've like slipped right through to the bottom side.
Yeah, I feel like something that got cut out of the matrix here.
Are you all right?
I'm fine. I'm upside down and I'm in a net and I'm below the biggest thing ever built out of helium and balloons, but I'm fine.
Adam may be fine, but the test ain't. With the raft coming apart at the seams, there's just no way the team can reset to try again. Their only chance at liftoff has just slipped through the net.
Oh, it's very satisfying. Oh, I shouldn't do that.
All that work.
Look at this. It's a cathedral of failure.
Not really, Adam. We've learned that any raft able to fly will be unfeasibly large and far too flimsy to take passengers.
Oh my God, we might need to open a door. It's getting kind of weird.
It's getting helium in
It's getting
here.
really stuffy.
I think it is.
I'm gonna open up the door, okay?
Okay. I don't think anybody would fault us for not giving it the best possible effort for success. I'm sure someone's yelling at their television right now, but I'm calling this one busted. I know we're not supposed to bust them on site. We're supposed to wait for the blueprint table, but I don't want to go back there. I just want to take the sweatsuit off and call it done and busted.
Yeah.
Busted.
Yeah.
Busted.
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 Thank you. I was waiting for you to say it.
Okay.
Let's clean it up.